In the heart of Paris, the smell of fresh bread mingled with the scent of blooming lilacs, creating a false sense of tranquility that did little to ease the tension coiling in Elias's gut. He stood frozen, his gaze locked onto the lifeless form slumped over the table. This was supposed to be a routine visit, a simple check-in on an old friend. A friend who had become more of a brother to him than anyone else. But now here he was, confronted with the grim reality of betrayal. He couldn't fathom that his father, a man of integrity and kindness, would make an enemy. That thought was preposterous. Yet here was his lifeless form, a testament to a reality he refused to accept. There were signs of a struggle, overturned benches, shattered glass, and a pool of blood staining the floor a deep crimson. It was a far cry from the cozy, lively place he remembered. His eyes scanned the room, searching for clues, for answers. The house was a mess, but amidst the chaos, Elias noticed something peculiar, a small opening concealed behind a tapestry, a secret passageway. The air was thick with the smell of damp earth and something else, something metallic, like old blood. In the dim lamplight, he saw not a rat or a stray dog, but something that made his blood run cold. A human figure huddled in the corner, emaciated, eyes wide with fear. It was a woman, her clothes torn and dirty, her skin bearing the marks of harsh treatment. She looked at Elias with pleading eyes. "Help me," she whispered, her voice hoarse and weak. "I haven't eaten in days." He tracked Silas to a notorious gambling den, a place where fortunes were won and lost on the turn of a card. The den was a hive of activity, a cacophony of noise, the clinking of glasses, the shuffling of cards, and the murmurs of men placing their bets. "Ah, Elias," he said, his voice smooth and dangerous like a viper's hiss. "To what do I owe this pleasure?" He gestured for Elias to sit, his smile never fading. It was a facade, Elias knew, a mask to hide the turmoil raging within. Elias, with his head held high, walked straight to the main hall. "Your support helps us to bring you the best stories and to keep our content free for everyone. So please visit our page to learn more. Thank you for watching and for your continued support. We'll see you next time." All eyes turned to him, curious, amused, or perhaps a bit wary. Her words painted a grim picture, hinting at a captivity that had stretched on for far too long. Around him were men known for their shady dealings, men who dealt in secrets and shadows. Elias's gaze locked onto Silas, the silence between them heavy with unspoken accusations. "Who?" Silas feigned ignorance, his eyes gleaming with amusement. The ensuing confrontation was a battle of wills, a game of cat and mouse where every word was carefully measured and every gesture scrutinized. Silas, confident and smug, baited Elias, enjoying the young man's evident distress. But Elias held his ground. He knew he had walked into a trap, but he was ready to play the game on his own terms. "I don't know what you're talking about." The game, Elias realized, had changed. He was in enemy territory, surrounded by men who thrived in deception. Trust was a luxury he couldn't afford. "Silas," Elias said, his voice echoing in the stunned silence. "We need to talk." But who was she and how had she ended up in this underground prison? What would be his next move? How would he navigate this treacherous game and uncover the truth behind his father's death? Stay tuned to find out as we continue to explore the depths of deceit and uncover the shocking revelations that await. The flickering torch revealed rough-hewn walls and in the center, an iron chest, its surface cold and uninviting. What secrets did it hold? Was it merely a hiding spot, or was there a deeper, more sinister purpose behind it? As she slowly regained her strength, they talked, and she told him her name, Alara, and the harrowing tale of her abduction. She had been taken from her home 3 years prior, her abductors leaving no trace. Her captor was a shadow, always lurking nearby but never seen. It was a fate worse than death, a living nightmare. Curiosity piqued, he pulled back the tapestry, revealing a dark hole leading into the unknown. What lay beyond that passage? Was there a connection between this house and his father's demise? Could this be the missing noblewoman? If so, her presence here raised more questions. Why was she imprisoned in this underground chamber? And what did it mean for Elias's quest for answers? Driven by these questions, Elias squeezed through the narrow opening. His gaze fell on a half-empty bottle of cheap poison, the kind that brought oblivion rather than intoxication. It belonged to a man named Silas, a man known for his ruthlessness and involvement in the black market. Could this be the link to his father's death? Did Silas play a part in this tragedy? Poison? Could that be the answer? Had his father been poisoned? The weight of this revelation threatened to crush him, but he pushed back, refusing to yield. There, scrunched up in a corner, was a piece of parchment, a letter bearing his father's seal. A sense of dread settled upon him, heavier than the thick fog that was starting to blanket the town. As he cautiously approached the house, he noticed subtle signs of a forced entry, a splintered window frame, a loose brick near the door. Someone had entered this house against the will of its owner. But who and why? With trembling hands, he broke the seal and began to read. The letter detailed a clandestine meeting, a secret rendezvous his father had planned with an old acquaintance. The purpose, to discuss a matter of utmost importance. A chill ran down Elias's spine. Could this lead him to the truth? Was his father's demise merely a byproduct of this secret meeting? He needed answers, and he knew just where to find them. His father, the man who had raised him, taught him, loved him, was lying dead at his friend's hands. How could this have happened? What had driven Elias's friend, the man he considered a brother, to commit such an act? And what would become of him now? Would he be consumed by hatred and vengeance or rise above it all, honoring his friend's memory in a more noble way? The face was pale, the eyes staring vacantly upwards, a single red stain blooming on the pristine white cloth beneath his head. It was a scene straight out of a nightmare, but it was real, all too real. And the architect of this nightmare was none other than Elias's own father. He wasn't supposed to find him like this. But let's start from the beginning. Let's unravel this tale of deceit and destruction, a story of trust and betrayal that will leave you gasping for answers. The initial shock gave way to a torrent of questions. Why would someone harm his father? And why him? With a heavy heart and steely resolve, Elias left the house, his every step echoing the turmoil in his chest. He didn't know what he'd find at the tavern, but he hoped it would shed some light on the darkness that had fallen over his life. The familiar sounds and smells of the tavern brought back a flood of happy memories. Memories of laughter, camaraderie, and the warmth of true friendship. Now those very walls seemed to mock him, whispering tales of a past that was irrevocably lost. Pushing open the heavy wooden door, he was met with the sight of empty tables and chairs. A few tankards on the floor, remnants of a recent brawl. His search led him to the kitchen, a place filled with the aromas of cooking. A place where secrets often simmered alongside the hearty stews. Following the directions provided in the letter, Elias found himself at the edge of town. Standing before a dilapidated house, its windows like vacant eyes staring back at him. Venturing inside, he found more signs of a struggle, overturned furniture, broken ornaments, and on the wall, a smear of blood. He found himself in a dimly lit underground chamber. As Elias wrestled with these thoughts, he noticed a faint scratching sound coming from the corner. Her words triggered a memory. A vague recollection of a missing person-s report regarding a nobleman's daughter, who had vanished without a trace. Gently, he helped the woman to her feet, offering her water and food that he found in a hidden compartment in the wall. Yet amidst this dark tale, a glimmer of hope emerged. Alara recognized the house and the underground chamber. Fueled by this new information, Elias decided to confront Silas directly. There he saw him, Silas, leaning back in a chair, a smirk playing on his lips. A dangerous glint flashed in Silas's eyes. "Where is he?" Elias asked, his voice betraying none of the turmoil within. But Elias was prepared. He had his wits and a plan forged in the fires of grief and determination. The outcome of this encounter would have far-reaching consequences. It was a pivotal moment in Elias's journey, a test of his resilience and determination. This is your host, and if you want to support us in creating more amazing stories, please consider becoming a patron.